Well, let's talk about something that will be more important to you. Some would say if you are a consumer of petroleum products, because we understand that prices of petroleum products are largely expected to remain unchanged at the pumps in the coming days. And this is despite those marginal increase in crude prices on the international market. Let's do some analysis, or let's get more detailed on this from the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah. So Duncan, thank you so much for having time with us this afternoon in our studios here on Journey Channel Multi TV.
Thank you, George.
I hope you're doing great.
Thanks for having me, as usual.
I mean, the scenarios might be different looking at where you're coming from. Some are saying that it will remain unchanged. We also see some marginal reduction. What do you make of developments first on the petroleum market?
George, thank you once again. All things being equal, Ghanaians should have seen some reductions.
Yeah.
You're talking of about 4 pesos for petrol and about 10 pesos for diesel.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the international benchmarks, that is the only bit that should lead to price changes. But you and I very well know you have a lot of other factors. One, your local currency would have, a play in there. And then again, the marketers issue. Now, because of deregulation, there's a lot of, price wars here and there. And so you find a situation where some may want to go down. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the month, say first week in October, we see some 1, 2, 3 going down.
But if the prices are supposed to be reviewed from the 15th of this month, that is Wednesday, or maybe if it takes time to calibrate the assistant by the weekend, or some would say that, right?
We would have wished that it was going down 15th, but so far indications we pick from the oil marketing companies is that it might not.
You have been engaging them. What are they telling? Because I looked at the numbers again before I came on. I did the calculations again, and it was clear that rather things are supposed to go down. From your engagement with these oil marketing companies, are they going to reduce prices at the pumps come this weekend?
George, we would wish they do, but clearly you also have to be considerate with them and understand that you are looking at the forex issue. It is quite unstable, and so it goes up, it comes down. You are looking at between 1% and 2%, like I indicated.
Yeah.
Probably 1% for petrol, 2% for diesel. But as to whether that would have the complete trickle effect on pump prices, the city would largely have a role to play in there. And then again, you also have some oil marketing companies already serving lower prices. And so when the time comes for them to go down further, then they probably would end up eating into their margins. But all things well and good. We'll be happy to see some reductions between 1 and 2% on both.
Duncan, I know you've always been an advocate of review in the taxes on petroleum products. Do you think that it's still relevant now? Because some are saying that if you look at the world market, prices have started picking up for crude prices, and it would catch up with us. And so that consistent increase in petroleum prices.
George, we would advocate again for the dual pricing policy that we've all along been hammering on. This should kick in when world market prices get out of hands. Then you can begin to scale down on the taxes. And then when you find times like these when world market prices are quite affordable or reasonable, then the taxes can be enforced. And so we would wish that the government today, government in future, would try develop that dual pricing mechanism so that Ghanaians can at all times be a bit confident of how much they are paying for at the pumps. If today crude prices are hovering around 39, 40, 42, we are paying 21 Ghana cedis per gallon. Your guess will be as good as mine when it goes back again. So we are advocating once again for authorities to look at the dual pricing situation where when world market prices or ex-ref goes up, you scale down on the taxes. And when ex-ref is low, the city is good. You can enforce taxes so that Ghanaians can have some predictability with their petroleum consumption.
Now, can I ask you wrap up on this discussion? I know that recently you did a consumer survey, and what are the consumers saying with respect to all these happenings, prices at the pumps and all the rest? What did your report or your survey actually establish as in what the consumers are saying of their concerns?
We'll intend publishing this report shortly, but this is quite interesting. If you look at 18 oil marketing companies that we took out there to the various lorry terminals, you look at people's confidence if you went to a filling station turnaround time, how long does it take them to fuel your car for you? We listed them. People made their choices. If you look at, you go to a station who probably is offering you value for money by way of quantity. And so, do you get 100 cedis when you buy 100 cedis? These are perceptions for consumers, largely at our transport terminals. We intend also rolling out for this month of September online, so that other Ghanaians across the other regions could also vote in there. But the 500 respondents that we sampled, you would realize that of the tier 1 category, which is GOIL, Shell, Total, because they have a bigger spread, most of them really were tilting towards GOIL, with Shell coming in second, Total third. And then the tier 2, which is probably the smaller OMCs, relatively smaller compared to the bigger 3. You also find a lot of the people suggesting that Allied Oil is okay with them. They also love Zen Petroleum because of their lower prices. They also love Goodness. A lot of, so these, I'm sure you...
Duncan, let's wrap up on this discussion, because I know that recently you began a campaign of trying to establish the volumes and the quantity of petroleum product that they sell at these service stations. And what is the situation right now? Are you satisfied now, or you've gone to sleep as you wrap on this discussion?
Not at all, George. In fact, we are still working hand in hand with the Standards Authority. The report you keep getting is that Ghanaians go to filling stations if for a reason they suspect that they didn't get the right service by way of quality or quantity, and they request for the 10-litre, the stations are refusing to give it to them. Meanwhile, these 10-litre cans are designed for consumers, not for Standards Board officials, not for anybody else, but every Ghanaian who drives to a filling station to buy fuel, who feels that my gauge with 100 cedis should have done probably a quarter reading, but I didn't see that, has a right to request for the 10-litre. As it stands, a lot of the stations are being adamant, and very soon we'll begin to name and shame these stations who are probably doing the wrong things, but unwilling to also allow Ghanaians to verify what they are doing.
Duncan, I'll be waiting for that report earnestly to share with our viewers out there. And you've been watching Marketplace.